Welcome to Gandhi classes. I am Dr. Gandhi and today I am going to teach you the second part of tissues, the animal tissue. There are four types of animal tissues: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, neural or nervous tissue. We will begin the study of tissues. We will first take up the muscle tissue. We'll then go on to connective tissue, epithelial tissue and nervous tissue. Okay, so I'm beginning with the study of muscular tissue. Please follow me to the board. So you can see here the animal tissues of four types. We begin with the study of muscle tissue. What is the function of muscle tissue? The muscles contract and relax, and when they, you can see, contract and relax, you can see a movement. There are three types of muscle tissue. One, you can see here giving a striped appearance. The second one, you can see the tissue which does not have stripes. The stripes are absent or unstriped. And the last one is striped and branched. Pay attention, this is striped and branched. Very, very important. The first one then, which is the striped tissue, is also called voluntary tissue because it makes up the muscles of your legs, your arms, your skeletal system, and they move at your will. Whenever you wish, you move your hand, you move your leg, you walk, etc. Under the microscope, they have a striped appearance, and you can see there are multiple nuclei. It is multinucleated. Now, the plasma membrane and the cytoplasm. Look here, the partitions of the cell wall have been removed to make it into a single elongated group of cells, a muscle tissue. What is the name for the plasma membrane? It comes from the word flesh. If you touch your flesh, remember, muscle is fleshy. Remember. So when you touch your muscle is fleshy. From the word flesh meaning sarc. Sarc means flesh. The membrane is known as sarcolemma. So the membrane surrounding the muscle tissue is known as sarcolemma. And the cytoplasma therefore is called sarcoplasma. Again I repeat, sarc means flesh. Muscle is a fleshy tissue. Okay. Next, you see the other type, the unstriped or the involuntary. Example, intestines are made up of it. What is the function? It helps to push the food forward. They are spindle shaped cells and they don't have stripes. They are involuntary. You cannot dictate, or the intestines don't move at your will. They are involuntary. And the last one is the heart or the cardiac muscle. It has got stripes and it is branched. And compared to muscle tissue, which is not branched and has multiple nuclei, this is branched and has only one nuclei. Its function is cardiac muscle, or the heart helps in the circulation of blood. These then are the three types of muscle tissue. We now go and study the second part, the connective tissue. So I'll just take off this one now. So we just finished the three types of muscle tissue. We now study Can I get the mic, please? The connective tissue. Hello? Hello? Yes. After muscle tissue, we take up the next tissue, the connective tissue. To call a tissue a connective tissue, it has to have three characteristics, very, very important. So I am drawing them. It has to have few cells. So I am now drawing a connective tissue. Look here, these are spindle shaped cells. So you can see in this whole area there are only two cells. What else it should have? It should have abundant, pay attention, abundant intercellular space. So this is all intercellular space. You can see compared to the cells how abundant it is. The intercellular space is known as matrix. And finally, it should have fibers. So now I'm drawing the fibers. So you can see I'm drawing fibers. All types of fibers. So three things required to call a tissue a connective tissue. First, there should be few cells. There should be abundant intercellular space and there should be fibers. This then is the characteristic feature of connective tissue. We take the first type. The first type is called proper connective tissue. The proper connective tissue. The first one. Proper connective tissue. Why is it called proper? That is because it has got all the three requirements. It has got a few cells, it has got matrix, it has got fibers. So therefore it is called proper. It suits the characteristics of a connective tissue. Hence the word proper. Its function, it acts as a binding tissue. What does it mean? So pay attention. This proper connective tissue known as areolar tissue, the first one, the first proper connective tissue, the areolar tissue. See, what does it bind? What does it bind? It binds the skin. Look here, it binds the skin. If I pinch, it binds the skin to underlying tissues and prevents it from getting overpulled. So therefore, what does it bind? The skin to underlying tissue. Hence you can see the function binding. It is also used as packing material. So to keep, for example, in our abdomen we have kidneys. You can see the kidneys could drop. Therefore around the kidneys you have areolar tissue. It keeps it packed. Remember. Next, the first for areolar tissue. Next you can see fibers. The fibers form the other two types of tissues. The fiber known as the fibrous tissue. It is also a type of proper connective tissue. The first one is areolar tissue. The second one is fibrous tissue. If the fibers connect muscle, the fibers connect muscle to bone, then this one is known as tendon, the second type of proper connective tissue. And if it connects bone to bone, so now the fibrous tissue is connecting bone to bone, it is known as ligament. So this then is the second tissue. And in certain places, like around your eyeball, as I told you, around the skin, around the kidneys for example, they are packed with fat cells. They act as packing material. So you can see around the eyeball, in the socket of your eye, so that your eye remains in position, your kidneys remain in position. You have a proper connective tissue called the last one, first, second, the third one, known as adipose tissue. It acts as a packing material around the socket of your in the eyeball, around the kidneys, so it keeps it in place. This then was the first tissue, the proper connective tissue. Areolar tissue, fibrous tissue, adipose tissue. Fibrous tissue made up of tendon and ligament. We go to the next one, supportive tissue. The second one is the supportive tissue. Now why do you call it supportive? That is because it supports. To give you an example, supportive tissue What does it support? For example, bone. Bone supports your muscles. You can see your muscles are supported by the bones. Your cartilage, it supports soft tissues. It supports soft tissues. For example, you can see the earlobe has been supported by the cartilage. So that is why the second one is called supportive tissue. One connects muscle to the bone, the other, provides attachment to muscles, and this provides attachment to soft parts. What is the characteristic feature? It is hard. It is made up of a ground substance of calcium and phosphorus. Calcium and phosphorus are porous, and when I draw the diagram, you will know that there are also present blood vessels. There are also present blood vessels, nerves, etc. So I am drawing. The bone then under the microscope has a central canal known as Haversian canal. Under the microscope, how does the bone look? There is a central canal called Haversian canal. Around that, the bone cells are arranged in a concentric manner. So you can see these are bone cells. They are arranged in a concentric manner, and through the Haversian canal come blood vessels and nerves. So these then are the blood vessels and nerves. So now what is the nature of the bone? Hard, because it is made up of calcium, phosphorus, making it porous. Inside are present blood vessels and nerves. A bone cell is known as an osteocyte derived from the osteoblast. So that takes care of the study. Where are the bones present in your skeletal system? Cartilage. Where are the cartilage? It is elastic. You can feel the cartilage in your ear. It is elastic. It is non-porous. And there are no blood vessels. No blood vessels. No nerves. So under the microscope, how does the cartilage look? So you can see there is a cartilage here. The cartilage has got empty spaces. This empty space in the cartilage is known as a lacuna or lacunae. Plural, lacuna single, and inside you have the cartilage cells. So you can see these then are the cells. So this then is the microscopic structure of the cartilage. So we studied two supportive tissues, bone and cartilage. Okay. After that, we now go to the fluid connective tissue. The fluid connective tissue is your blood. So we now go to the last one, the fluid connective tissue. Not the last one, sorry. The last one in connective tissue. So the last connective tissue is a fluid connective tissue. What are the two fluids which form the connective tissue? Blood and lymph. Lymph is a colorless fluid. Blood is red in color. The blood contains the cells, all the cells, a red blood cell, a white blood cell, and platelets. The lymph contains only, remember, white blood cells. So that is the fluid connective tissue, blood and lymph. Functions, you know, RBC is responsible for transport of oxygen mainly. Here, what do WBCs fight? Germs. So therefore, they give the body immunity. The main function of WBC is to give immunity. Platelets are responsible for clotting of blood. So that takes care of the fluid connective tissue. So we studied the connective tissue, characteristics being few cells, abundant matrix, fibers. Proper connective tissue, areolar tissue, fibrous is tendon and ligament, and adipose tissue. When we studied the supportive tissue, bone and cartilage. We then studied the fluid connective tissue, blood and lymph. Here the color of blood is red, here it is colorless. That is because the red blood cells are not there. That finishes the study of two tissues, your muscle tissue and connective tissue. We next go to the study of the third and the fourth, the remaining two. The third one is called epithelial tissue. The third one is called epithelial tissue. So now we go to the third one, epithelial tissue. From the word thelia means to line. Thelia means to line, therefore called lining tissue. The first one you can see is made up of flat cells. What does it line? What does it line? It lines your nasal cavity. Flat cells, a group of flat cells, therefore a tissue. It lines your nasal cavity. It lines the inner lining of mouth. Inner lining of mouth. So now what is its function? It is very easy. Because you can see they are flat, they don't have any intercellular space. Therefore, they protect you from germs. They protect you from harmful chemicals. You can see they are laid one up next to each other like a mason laying a pavement. From the word squama, meaning pavement. The first one is called squamous. Squama means pavement. Squamous epithelium. So the first one is squamous epithelium. It is made up of a row of cells which are flat, lining the nasal cavity, inner lining of mouth, outer surface of skin. So you can see, because there is no intercellular space, because they are flat cells, the squamous epithelium protects you from germs, harmful chemicals, etc. So the first one is squamous epithelium. We go to the second one. You can see the second one, the cells are like a column. This then is the nucleus. They are more tall than broad, therefore called columnar epithelium. They usually line the stomach and help in absorption of nutrients. They line the stomach, they line the intestines from where nutrients after digestion are absorbed. Under columnar epithelium, you have one, look here. You can see the columnar epithelium has hair-like structures on top. From the word hair-like structures are known as cilia. This is known as ciliated columnar epithelium. Where do you find them? You find them in your respiratory tract, that is from your nose to the lungs. So what happens? When dirt or dust tries to enter, the cilia by their movement drive the dirt and dust out of the system so that it does not enter your lungs. B. The columnar epithelium also lines glands, hence called glandular epithelium. For example, your salivary glands, you can see they are lined by columnar epithelium. This is all columnar epithelium. I am not drawing that side. What is the function? Secretion. Example, it secretes enzymes. So you studied in the endocrine system, your pituitary gland, your thyroid gland, they are all glandular epithelium and their function is secretion, whether enzymes or hormones. And the last one, so this takes care. So we finished with the squamous epithelium. We finished with the columnar epithelium, two types, ciliated and glandular. We go to the third one, cuboidal epithelium. Cuboidal epithelium. So these are cube-shaped cells and they line tubules so that they do not collapse. For example, your salivary tubule. From the salivary gland to the mouth, you have a tubule. When you move your cheeks, it is possible that it will collapse. Therefore, it is lined by cuboidal. Example, tubules of the salivary gland. The duct or the tubule which brings saliva from the gland to the mouth. And the last one, you can see if germs try to enter your skin, then it is possible that you will get infection. Therefore, the skin is lined by layer upon layer of cells. So you can see multiple layers of cells. Multiple layers of cells. One layer below the other, called stratified epithelium, one strata below the other, stratified epithelium. It is found on the outer surface of skin. It is found on it makes the upper layer of the skin. On the outer surface we have squamous, so that takes care. So we are now beginning with the epithelial tissue. First, squamous epithelium lines the inner lining of the mouth, nasal cavity, outer surface of skin, prevents germs and harmful chemicals. The second one is columnar. The cells are more tall than broad, lining the stomach, helps in absorption of nutrients. The third and the first one, a type of columnar epithelium known as ciliated because it has got hair-like structures. It is present in your respiratory tract, the tract beginning from nose to the lungs, so that with their hair they move with a lashing movement, they drag the dirt and dust out of your system so that you cough it out, prevents damage to the lungs. Next, you have glandular epithelium. Example, salivary glands, thyroid. Their function is secretion. The third epithelial tissue is called cuboidal. So in this cuboidal epithelium, it lines tubules to give it mechanical strength. For example, the tube duct arising from the salivary gland to the mouth. When you move your cheeks, it could get collapsed. So therefore it is lined with a strong cell, three-sided cubical cell, therefore called cuboidal epithelium. And finally, a certain area like your skin, so that germs do not enter, there are layer upon layer of skin known as stratified epithelium. So this finishes the study of epithelial tissue. We go to the last tissue, the nervous tissue. In your lower standards you have studied under the nervous system. So I am going to the last one, the nervous tissue or the neural tissue. So I am drawing the nervous tissue, and this is important because it comes in the exam. The fourth one is called neural or nervous tissue. It is made up of cells. Remember, all tissues are made up of cells called neurons. I am now drawing the diagram of a neuron. A neuron then has a star-shaped body. So you can see the star-shaped body with the tail. The star-shaped body with the tail. The star-shaped body is known as cyton. The tail is known as axon. So the two parts of the neuron then are cyton and axon. You can see the cytoplasm, you can see these extensions. These extensions are known as dendron. And from the dendron, tree-like branches arise, known as dendrites. You will have to draw this in your exam. Next, the axon is protected by a sheath. It is protected by a sheath known as myelin sheath. So that protects. So you can see there is a sheath protecting the axon known as myelin sheath. The myelin sheath is not continuous. In between it has got, you can see a junction, or the myelin sheath is not continuous throughout, and this junction is known as node of Ranvier. The axon ends in axon ending. So these then are axon endings. The main part of the neuron, the nucleus. Another term for cyton is perikaryon. As you develop your understanding of biology, I will teach you the meaning of perikaryon. At the moment, it is too premature. So this then is the diagram of a neuron you will have to draw and label in the exam. What is the function of the nervous system? So you can see when somebody touches me, I respond. The touch was perceived and I responded. So the function of nervous system is perception and response in an organism. So touch, response, perception, response. So the function is perception and response in animals. So that finishes the 4 types of tissues. We began with the muscle tissue, we went on to connective tissue. After that, we studied various types of epithelial tissue, and we finished with the nervous tissue. The diagram has to be drawn, labeled very well in the exam. With that, the chapter on tissues, plant and animal is over. Stay home, stay safe, stay blessed. God bless you.